Good day, Tragic here, and welcome to the first turn of Pathfinder, the adventure card game we are playing in Tabletop Simulator. And this is turn one. So let's get straight into it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give all the decks a shuffle. And I'm going to do this every start of every turn just to, ensure non-fuckery going on my part. Now, there's a lot of... I don't know, I get accused of cheating a lot on my channel, which is kind of weird because, I don't know, it's weird. So I'm instituting these methods of shuffling all the decks before I do each turn, and hopefully that way I'll alleviate some of the fears. Now, there's so much going on in Pathfinder. So even though I've done the setup and I've done the video on the history of the quest, there's still quite a lot to cover. So we'll quickly get into it. Basically, we have a power that is for the adventure path always. Now, the second part of this text we don't have to worry about until we get to the quest Demon's Heresy, which is the third quest line. But we have the first part of this text does matter to us. It says, in locations that have the abyssal trait, ignore the outsider trait on Banes. Now, this might not come into account, but basically we just got to keep an eye out for the outsider trait. Now, we do have one location that has the abyssal trait, which is the Sanctum here. Now, the Sanctum is a pretty interesting card because not only does it have the abyssal trait, which we may or may not see in action, it actually requires a corrupted card to be discarded, or banished in this case, to actually close. So we can't even close this guy until we get a corrupted card. Now, some of our decks have corrupted cards, not most of them. I think Sheila has corrupted cards, but most of the corrupted cards in the early set are actually probably found in the armory because they're on armor, like old armor, that people have been using during the various demonic crusades. So we kind of want to go there last. Anyway, back to the actual scenario. We now have the scenario ability, which is when you acquire an ally, you may succeed at an intelligence or knowledge 6 check to examine the top card of any location. So that's a very, very powerful card. We've got to remember to do this every time we pick up an ally. And finally, the Servitor Demon is the Demoling, which we've already talked about. I've made a nice little chart for us over here. And there's the Demoling there. Now, he's pretty tough. He basically has a +3 to his check if you fail a perception or a wisdom check of 7, which is pretty easy to fail. So basically you can't avoid him, and then he's actually a 11 check to defeat. Okay, well that be that then. Let's first thing we need to do. Now, all these cards have their own flavor text, which I should have read out in the other video. So I think I'm just going to skip reading these out this turn, and next quest I'll actually include reading the back of these cards when I do the story video as well. So we're just going to skip that for now. So what I look for when I look for placing my units is I look at their closing ability, because you never know when you're going to draw the monster, the henchman, and have to close the deck. So this one, for example, says, choose a type of boon other than loot, summon and acquire a random boon of that type. So very, very easy to close this guy. But this one, as we talked about, when you're closing, you've got to banish a card with the corrupted trait. That's a lot more difficult. And at the location, when you move, bury a card. Now, this is a little bit confusing. So move is an action that you can do as one of the things that you can do during your turn. It's probably written up here in this little thing. See, the move happens before you can do an explore for the turn, right? But this will only trigger when you are at the location and doing your move, not when you move to the location. There's actually different wording, and I think we even have one here. Here we are. When you move or are moved here. So if you move here, or if you're moved against your will to move here, or any way that you actually move to this location, this effect will trigger. But this one, I'm pretty sure, only triggers when you activate a move away from this location. Moving into the location won't trigger it. So we have move and bury a card, and we have banish a corrupted card. Then we have the laboratory. Now this is an exceed an intelligence or craft 5 check. So we've got a couple of high level mages and stuff here, so we should be able to close this one pretty easily. So once I look at the closing ability, the next thing I look at always is the contents of the deck list. In this case, 2 monsters, 2 spells, 2 items, 2 allies, 1 blessing. Now, what that says to me is that we want someone who can use spells to go here, right? Because there's a couple of monsters to kill, and we have some spells to pick up, plus we've got some allies, plus we have an intelligence check to close, which means, in my opinion, Sione would be a great one to place there, or maybe even Honora. In fact, Honora might even be better. Yeah, let's put Honora there. We're going to put Honora there. She has high intelligence, high craft, high knowledge, and one of the most bonkers abilities in the game. Check this out. Whenever you attempt to acquire a spell, you may use your knowledge skill to place of any other listed skill, and her knowledge is like freaking +3 to a D12. And then under that, after you play a spell, you may recharge a random spell from your discard pile. So as long as we keep 1 spell in our discard pile, we should be able to just recycle our spells ad infinitum. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so we have the armory. When you acquire a weapon, you may draw a card. Summon and acquire a random weapon to close. So we need someone who can acquire weapons. Now, if we have a look at our weapon deck, okay, most weapons are acquired through dexterity ranged, dexterity ranged, dexterity ranged, dexterity ranged, or strength melee. Dexterity ranged, strength melee. Yeah, so it's kind of like a mix between the two. I'm not quite sure which one. Oh, look at that one. That's from the character class decks. I'm not quite sure which one is more common, to be honest. Now, we do have a character with dexterity ranged, and that is our beautiful Adwin. And we don't really have anyone. This is our best strength melee. We don't really have any sword fighters at all. We're all spellcasters in this particular set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Adwin. No, I'm not. I'm going to send. Yeah, I'm going to send Sheila to there. I think the strength melee is a little more common. Where can we put Adwin? Each character must summon and defeat the servitor demon to close the Forsaken Cloister. And when you move here, bury a card. Any character at another location may discard a card to evade an encounter and then move here. So we don't have to move there. If we move here, we have to bury a card even at the beginning of the game. So I think the best idea is not to move there. And then we have the evade ability up at all times. So where else can we send him? Summon and acquire a random ally. Now that might be the place to send Sione, because Sione has really high charisma. Where is it? Really high charisma at D12 +2. So that's a good way to get allies. So we'll put her here. And that leaves us just a couple more figures to place. The marketplace. Choose a type of boon other than loot, summon and acquire that boon. That's very, very easy. There's no monsters in here, so I think I might put Kara in there. The Watchtower. You may summon and defeat a random monster instead of the normal check to acquire a boon. So if you've got a really high-powered fighter, we can just fight to acquire boons. I don't think that's a really particularly good idea, though. I think, yeah, banish a weapon to get in there. So why don't we send fighter here, and don't want to go as close to, and we'll send Shazara to the last location here, which is succeeded a combat check with a difficulty of 9, plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number. Now, our adventure deck scenario is scenario B, which is like the introduction scenario, which are the easy ones in inverted commas. This entire core set has a reputation of being very difficult. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it goes. But my point is, because it's scenario B, anything that says add the scenario number is just 0. So there is no additional point value for scenario numbers. Well, that's that set up. Now I'm just going to draw out our cards. This girl starts with 6. Now, these guys are a little weird. These guys start with a cohort. Now, the cohort is a new card in this set, and the rules are over here for it somewhere. Cohorts are companions. If the back of your character card lists a cohort at the bottom of your cards list, after you draw your starting hand, add your cohort to it. So this is actually in her hand. So even though she starts with 5 cards, she actually starts with 6, including the cohort. But the cohort counts to her hand limit from then on. So if I say use this spell, I don't have to draw another card because that is still a hand size of 5. And we've got another cohort here with learn. Okay, so we are now finally ready to roll. Okay, let's do this. Okay, let's do this. We'll give it one more shuffle just to silence the haters. And let's get into this. So we'll just set up a camera here for player 1. Let's draw the advanced blessing deck. Yablam! Okay, blessing of +2 to defeat a barrier, match recharge. Okay, so the way this works is, even though this blessing is in the discard pile and it acts as the counter, we've only got 30 turns to complete this entire quest. Whenever you cast a blessing, you can actually activate the blessing in the top of the discard pile instead of the blessing on your hand. So it's important to remember what blessings we've got. But anyway, let's do this. Let's grab the first card. Yonk! Oh, we start off right off with a Mongol Ranger. That's nasty. The difficulty of this check to defeat is equal to the highest difficulty to defeat a random monster from the box. So just go to the monster box and drag out the first guy. Yomp. Oh, it's an 11. So all we're looking at here is the combat difficulty of the Constrictor Snake. So that's an 11. Before you act, the Mongol Ranger deals 1d4 minus 1. Wow. That is pretty hardcore. Give us something low. 1 minus 1 is no damage. Thank you very much. And now we just have to kill this guy. So it shouldn't be too bad. Basically, we need 11. We have Dazzle in hand. So that is a d12 plus 2 d4s. And our in Arcane is +1. So, bam. Now that is, what is that? 1d12, 2d4s plus 1. We're kind of looking at about 60-something% chance or something like that. It's not bad, and we really don't want to lose this because we've got all these blessings in hand. I don't know. Should we risk it? Oh, we're already at a risky roll right off the bat. 60%, let's do it. Yeah, bam! 7 and +8 +1. Actually, I think I can just drag select over in the mod. Yeah, and mouse over. 15 plus 1, that's 16. That is a definite kill. And I'm very glad I didn't use my blessings. And then we get to recharge this if we do an Arcane 6 check, which is D12 plus 1 again. And we just need a 6. And we easily get that. You blonk. Okay, so there is only one other monster in this entire deck, and the rest is just boons. So I think we are going to spend a card and drag out the next one. Oh! Oh! Oh, that is bollocks. What are the chances? Oh, that is so annoying. Okay, so we've got no spells in hand. Discard this card to add 1 die check to acquire a boon. That doesn't help us. But first we need to deal with this. Before you act, succeeded a Wisdom 9 check. We have a Wisdom of 6, so we automatically fail that. So we need a 10. So we start with nothing and a D4, because we have no... Discard a spell to reduce cold fire damage. No. We have no way of creating damage, so yeah, not good. So for her to have a chance of beating a 10 check with D4s, we need like 4 or 5 of them, which means we'd basically have to use all our ascensions. So I just don't think it's worth it. So we are going to just automatically fail this, which is terrible, which means all this is lost, which we would have had to lose anyway. And this guy is actually, even if you fail monsters, unless it specifically says, they go back, they get discarded. Oh man, you know, I'm doing the editing here and I'm just looking at Forsaken Cloister, just thinking, why didn't I use this evade ability? So I could have evaded all that, removed all the damage at the cost of burying 1 card, rather than losing all that gas that I had, all those Ascension cards. So that was a real shame. So yeah, that's what I should have done. I should have moved to the Forsaken Cloister and activated that evade ability. Oh well, live and learn. Like I said, there's so much to keep your head around in this game when you play 6-player solo. And wow, that is that. And then she draws back up to 6. Oh, where were all these spells when we needed it? Great Pit, Flat Lightning, and Frigid Blast. Horrible. Actually, that's wrong, isn't it? God, it's been so long. I think everything. No, if you fail to pick up boons, they're banished, but monsters are shuffled back in. So let's just put him back in. Okay, let's go to Crow. Let's advance the blessing deck. Okay, it's a blessing of Shack. 2 combat strength or dexterity. Match a corruption card. We have to discard a card. Okay, so he's just hasn't got much gas. Let's pull out the first card. Boom! Oh, a beautiful crossbow. Dexterity ranged, which he has a dexterity of D4. We need 7, so that's an automatic fail. And then let's explore again. Oh! And we have the first cultist right off the bat. Okay. So, the difficulty to defeat the cultists of Baphomet is increased by the scenario's adventure deck number, which obviously is 0, so that's no expansion. Before you act, if this is your first exploration on the turn, the cultist of Baphomet deals 1 combat damage to you. This is not the first exploration of the turn. If undefeated, blah blah blah. Okay, so basically we just need to do a combat check 10. Now we need to keep the quarterstaff, so we can't discard it. So we just want to reveal it. And that gives us a strength or melee die plus a d6, which is a d8 plus 3 plus a d6 to get 10. You know, I think we can probably... see, if I roll this and fail, I'll be really peeved, because this is a close. So yeah, I'm going to roll it. Let's do it. Come on. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Beautiful. So that is... that is fine. So 1 and 7 is an 8, which isn't enough, but we get plus 3. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, which is enough to kill. That was lucky. We probably should have spent a blessing on that. So we have beaten the Bane. So now we can choose to summon and acquire a random weapon to close, which we are going to do. So we badly need this weapon. What you got for us? Oh, it's another range. That's terrible. Damn it. This goes back in our hand. Oh, man. So we basically need... So, When you attempt a check, before you act, you may use your charisma skill instead of any listed skill. Well, let's do that. What's a... Charisma is a D10 plus 1. So that's a D10 plus 1. So I think we need to boost this one though. So who's got a bunch of... Okay, let's spend 1 blessing of ascension from him. That's going to add another D10. We're going to roll this sucker. You blam! 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is an easy win. Goes into our hand. The location ability says when you acquire a weapon, you may draw a card. We are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. If we draw a card, we will have to discard. So we are not going to choose to do that. And this location is closed. What I might do is I might read out the backs after we complete them. The Armory. Faith and knowledge are powerful weapons, but sometimes all you really want when you're standing against a horde of demons is a sharpened blade of cold, hard steel. When armies prepare for the latest crusade, they seize any weapons they can find. There is no shortage of implements of destruction in this armory, but heroes who scavenge here might walk away with exotic weapons they've never seen before. Completed! Bam. And this has, when permanently closed, it's got no effect. Yonk. Well, that was pretty cool. We've closed a location already. So now let's go to Kiara. And let's draw out the blessing. Blessing of Ascension. Fine. And yabam! Splook. Oh, I want. Look how awesome. Look at those little freaking leather armor and the saddle. That is ultra cool. Little goblin steed. Okay, an animal ally. That really helps. We've got a character who has special abilities based on being animal allies. So we need to get that over to her. But we need to get a wisdom, survival, or charisma, diplomacy. So we have a diplomacy of D6 plus 2, and we have a wisdom of D12. So basically, there are 2 different checks here, and the checks are split into 2 sections. So this says wisdom or survival, or we have charisma or diplomacy. So the way the skill check works, it's very confusing for newcomers. It was for me anyway. I got super confused. But basically the way it works is that if you look at her skills, let's look at the wisdom trait, okay? Her wisdom is a D12, like she's got wisdom. But divine is actually a skill that requires wisdom. So it's basically her wisdom, and then she has divine wisdom, which is a +2 to her wisdom check. And that means if she's testing divine, she gets +2. If she tests just wisdom, it's D12. Okay, so she can test charisma for a D6, but she can test diplomacy for a D6 plus 2. Now, this is 2 separate checks. You can do an or, the top one or the bottom one. Sometimes it says and or after or something like that, and you have to do both. But in this case, we only need to do one or the other. But there's actually 2 words there. If it only had survival, right, even though survival is a trait based on wisdom, you can't actually, I couldn't do this check. But because it says wisdom, I can still just use my raw wisdom, which is a D12. As I said, very confusing. So we're going to roll a D12. We need a 5, so it's better than 50-50 chance. You blam, and we get him. Nice. Ah, dang, I also forgot the scenario ability, which allows us to peek at another deck of cards every time we get an ally. Really got to keep on top of this. I guess finding it in the editing is going to help it cement in my brain. That's the problem with this game. That's one of the things that's a little bit frustrating about it. It's like Lord of the Rings in a way. It's got so many modifiers, and by the time you learn the modifier, you've moved on to the next quest, and you might not play this particular scenario for another 6 months, and then you've got to remember it all again. Right, and we're going to discard him straight away. Display this card to draw 2 cards. At the end of your turn, discard this card. That's interesting. You may not play this card during an encounter. That means it's useless for our other hero. I love that card. That is awesome. Okay, we're going to discard him to explore the location again. Corroded Helm. Ah, interesting. This has the corrupted trait. Heavy armor, corrupted elite. Which means we can use it to close the sanctum. Banish this card. Banish a card that has the corrupted trait. That's the only way to close that location. So we really want to get this. We need a Fortitude 3. And we don't have Fortitude. So we need a Constitution, which is a D6. We only need 3, 50-50. You blam. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to discard an Ascension. Take the next card. You blonk. It's a leather armor. Same roll again. Beautiful. Well, let's keep going. Yeah, bam. Fiery glare. Nice. Okay, so we can test intelligence, arcane, wisdom, and divine. And of course, we're going to test divine because it is our best. It's a D12 plus 2. Now, she has some kind of ability with swords and a heal, so that doesn't help us. So D12 plus 2 to get a 8. We don't really care. I mean, we'd like to get Fiery Glare. It's a fantastic card, but I'm not going to spend blessings to get it. So let's roll. Ya blam. It's a better than 50-50 chance anyway. 5, 6, 7. That is a fail because we needed 8. Okay. And I don't think we get to draw any because we're already at 5 cards. Beautiful. Now it is Sione's turn. So what I like to do is I sort of set the screen up so I can just grab the card while I'm looking at a table. She's got a lot of gas. Look at all those spells. Come on. Booyah. Oh, no. Temptation of Invincibility. Check to defeat none. Draw 3 armors from the box. If the scenario's adventure deck number is 3 or higher, draw 3 non-basic armors. Well, it's not, so who cares? You may choose one and add it to your hand. Banish any not chosen. If you added 1 to your hand, the barrier is undefeated. Shuffle a random barrier from the box into your location deck. Otherwise, the barrier is defeated. Okay, so we're probably not going to take an armor, but we'll have a look skis anyway. We draw 3. And we have magic half plate, and we have scale mail. So yeah, we're not gonna do any of those. So we'll just stick that back in here. We didn't take an armor, so this is automatically beaten. And I think, did we forget to do the blessing deck? I think we did. Yep. Ooh, Blessing of Sheneth, which is +2 to non-combat wisdom. That would have been nice the last turn. Okay, she does. What's Sage City? Display this card next to a character. While displayed, add 3 to that character's wisdom checks. Got to remember that. I should definitely check if we've got Sage City or Glibness or anything in our other hands. So let's discard a blessing to draw another card. Yoink. It's a Bolus, dexterity range 5. Now she actually has a pretty high dexterity for a mage. As a D6, again, we're not going to spend difficult to find. Oh, it's a 1. That is a total fail. And we do have the Blackwing Librarian, so let's discard him as well. And do another explore. Oops, put it down here. Skitter, Intelligence Arcane 6. We should definitely be able to do this. We have a D12 +2. So it is better than 50-50 chance. So you blam. Oh no, that is annoying. It's a 2, 3, 4. That is a fail. What a shame. And that is the end of her turn. Looks like I actually forgot to draw her 6th card. Her hand side is 6, not 5. So I've got to make sure I draw another card for her before I start the next round. Let's turn off this so you've got a little bit more room. Right, what have you got here? Where is she here? You blam. The Mendevian Crusader. That's one of the human soldiers who's come down to join the Crusade, or the 5th Crusade, as they call it. We need a Divine or a Charisma Diplomacy. I think she has none of that stuff, so that's a complete fail. And by complete fail, I mean complete fail by me, because she's actually got D8 +1 for Divine. Apparently I can't read. Yeah, we'll just fail that instantly. Yeah, bam, that's a fail. Now we are going to display Learn. So Learn is our cohort. Display this card to examine the top card of your location deck. If you have a roll card, which we don't, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we've displayed it, and we're just going to leave it there for display. And that means we can look at the top card of this deck. Oh, which is another Baphomet. Okay, so banish a weapon to complete. We don't have any weapons in hand, so we can't fight this person really. Potion of Striding. At the end of your turn, banish this card and choose a character at your location. That character may move. Any movement restrictions still apply. So let's put this back in the ally deck. So she's going to end her turn here. She doesn't want to attack this cultist, which we know is the top of that deck. If you would counter a Bane that has an obstacle or trap trait. So now it's the end of her turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She still has 5 cards in hand. She doesn't get to draw. But at the start or end of your turn. So is end of turn after drawing a card? End your turn resetting your hand. I think we can discard this and then still draw. Yeah, I think we can. So we're going to discard this card, or actually banish it. That's going to allow her to move. Oh, I don't really need to do that, do we? We can just move anyway, can't we? Forsaken Cloister. Where the hell does she want to move? So Sheila can move to here. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to discard Posing of Striding, which is going to move Sheila to the Armory. And that's actually banished, not discarded. So next turn, Sheila's going to be at the same location as Anduin, and that's going to allow her to hand over the composite bow and then move over here, fight this dude, and close the location by discarding the quarterstaff. So we'll definitely get a closed thing next turn. And now we can just draw one more card. Yablam! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the way this works, this stays revealed, okay? Which is the same, kind of the same as played. So we can shuffle it back into our get to get plus 1d8, and I can recharge any card to put that back in my hand, which I'm not going to do for now. Oh, may as well. Should have done that before I drew agility. Whatever. Yeah, so what we'll do, we'll recharge this and we put this back in our hand. Okay, that's the end of her turn. And last but definitely not least, we have Shazara. Yablam! Okay, so she spent one of her things. It's a javelin, which is dexterity range 4. Now, her dexterity is a 4, so probably gonna fail. Oh, 4! What a joy. Okay, she does have Viper Strike, she does have Sage City, and she's got Fireblade, and she's got Colo, which is her cohort. Reveal this card to add 3 to your knowledge check. Recharge this card to add 1d8 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to a check by a character at your location. Now, what is her ability? When a character at your location would fail a check to defeat a Bane, you may recharge a spell to allow that character to re-roll the die. So she can recharge a spell to re-roll the dice. That's pretty amazing. When you succeed at a knowledge check, you may examine the top card. Okay, so hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. Basically, we have to do a check every time we get an ally, and we ignore abyssal traits. At the end of your turn, you may search your... Oh god, there's so much to remember. I've been doing these. When attempting a boon, when you would banish an item. Yeah, okay, whatever. Hopefully we haven't forgotten anything. Let's keep going. Soldier on, so to speak. And I didn't advance the blessing deck twice. So we have a Blessing of Ascension. It's supposed to be 6 cards at the end of the 6th turn. Right, so we discard this and get another card. Yablam. Ooh, a Grizzled Mercenary. Diplomacy, Charisma 6. She has a D6 for Charisma, so maybe we're going to luck out again. Yabam! Nope. And that'd be the end of her turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And that is the end of round 1 of Wrath of the Rune Lords. The Godless Ones. Excellent. Excellent stuff. I really like Pathfinder. Extremely good game. I never get to play it in real life. I've got like 2 whole sets. I didn't buy Mummy's Mask, but I'm hanging out, just crossing my fingers that they're going to make a Starfinder. This card game, but in sci-fi setting, because as you know, sci-fi auto wins all themes. Then, I mean, come on. Starfinder, the card game, where are you? Okay, well, that's the end of this round, and I will see you guys